Fraser?
Yeah.
Amazing. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. This is such a special moment for HFF because, well, Marva knows a little bit about our project, and you've been so supportive, Marva, from the very beginning, and we really appreciate that because we're quite a new initiative. And you know, the structure of our festival normally is that it's all outdoors because one of our main principles is accessibility. So when we were kind of formulating the festival, partly because of a lack of spaces in St. Vincent, and also because it was something very new, so we wanted to take it directly into the hearts of the communities. And I've always loved the idea of reclaiming public spaces and transforming them into spaces to share ideas. So that's what we did in 2019. And it was so beautiful. It was really, really, really beautiful. And now, of course, we've gone online, but it has enabled us to expand what we're doing in this incredible way. You know, at first we were kind of, disappointed about needing to do that, but then all of these wonderful positives have come out of that, being able to connect with you guys. And Marva, thank you for those introductions. I feel really blessed to be in the company of such a great selection of people. And I'm sure, I'm a filmmaker as well, so I'm really looking forward to learning a lot from you guys today also. And and it's coming at a good point for me personally too, because I just got an idea a couple days ago, actually yesterday. So I'm like, right at that beginning stage. So thank you all so much. We actually just launched, in the first year of the festival, we didn't, because it was very new, we were grappling just with the logistics. We didn't have any workshops or things like that. So this is really launching, but the sort of pedagogical side of the thing is really important to us. So this year we wanted to incorporate these things, and Marva had reached out to us. And we also have launched, we've been working in collaboration with with our main sponsor to develop what we're calling the Hairouna Film Lab, which we announced on Friday. So we've managed to get 10,000 US as a prize money for someone to make their short film. So it's kind of like a script to screen type of thing. And the idea is that 10 of the scripts would be selected to do a proof of concept, because we didn't really want to just do a thing where it's just like, okay, yeah, the best one wins and then you get 10 grand. We wanted it to make it like opportunities for developing along the way, so that even if you don't win, you had a chance to push your work or get some mentorship. Or so we also have a residency aspect that we built in for the two kind of finalists, I guess, and then one person would win. So you guys are sort of coming into this this sort of new push that we're doing. So I just want to thank you so much for being here. We're really grateful. And you can take it away. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, welcome everyone. This is where to start if you want to make a film. And thank you for inviting me. And I brought along some friends and colleagues. Part of why we're here is because of the fact that I have a connection to this place. I was born in St. Vincent. And part of that connection is the fact that I hold in my heart a particular librarian who really nurtured my curiosity as a kid when she gave me an adult library card, because she noticed I'd gone through most of everything in the kids section of the library. But I did high school in Trinidad, and I found my creative feet here in Canada. So that's where I'm coming from. And that's where all of our guests today are coming from. Shanaz is a media arts educator, which if you read the blurb in the ad for our session, she's pretty well, I consider, very ultra sensitive and aware and knowledgeable about the ebb and flow of what's happening in the industry, and has this incredible knack of being able to anticipate and find the resources needed to help filmmakers meet the challenges ahead, especially now in this changing world of content across the board. And she does a lot of that at LIFT, that's the Liaison of Independent Filmmaker. And the material and resources that she actually put together, I consider it a piece of art in itself. So if you get a chance, and I hope that Shanaz will share that link with you later, so you get a chance to really see what's out there. And today I know that she's here because she may have some insight into resources that is available for long distance learners, long distance needs that may be helpful. One is a documentary filmmaker himself and a member of the Hot Doc International programming team, but he's also a teacher and mentor, and one that understands the value that informed feedback brings to the successful realization of any project. And I'm really hoping that today you get an opportunity to really test your skill at how to pitch that passion project that you have. So he'll be in a breakout room. And I'm sure that you'll be challenged, and I know most of you will probably live up to the challenge. Ola Lorraine Garrigues, producer, marketer, and her work really does intersect with film, TV, digital media, and the arts. And I say that because I know her. Ola has worked across the board in digital arts, film, TV. She has worked with visual artists. So she really has a pretty wide purview of what's happening out there in the world of creation. In this case, I invited her here because she also has in her toolkit a particular important strategy. And that is one that would really allow you to be able to see your project under a different light and give you some of the nuances you need to be able to envision how you sell your project. Especially, when you think of the fact that in this world, you need a business strategy, and it has to be tight. Each one of you know that. The first thing anyone asks you is, where's your market for this? If you haven't done the work to be able to figure out where that market is, then that's a problem for your work. So part of what all it does is help you to see what that strategy could be in order to get the most out of any situation you find yourself in. Amar Waller, writer, producer, director. What is particularly important to me in terms of my invitation to Amar to be part of this, I'm sorry, is because he has this audacious passion for storytelling, but that's only equal to his work ethic and his heightened awareness, I'm sorry, and sensitivity to social issues, social injustice. I'm sorry, guys. I asked Amar for his permission to use his award-winning crowdfunding video for his debut documentary, feature documentary, Secret Trial 5. Not because of the fact that it's a great piece of work, but because just the fact that it exists speaks to what I talked about his ability to be audaciously passionate about your work, his ability to storytell about that work, his ability to pitch that work, and the stuff he cares about. So it is really important that he's here, because he represents where I think most of us want to be, but he also represents the kind of work ethic that you have to put in to get in there. And he continues to represent that, not just to me, but to a lot of the young filmmakers that he's now taken under his own wing to mentor. And you can see it's still quite a youngster himself. And then, of course, there's Mr. Frazier. Frazier is our facilitator today. But Frazier brings to this not just his support of making sure that this runs smoothly, but he's been working in the arts education, higher education for a while. He has a sensitivity to the fact that community building outside of the school system is very important. And his skill as a graphic artist and illustrator and animation illustrator is just as impactful as the work that he does in other arenas. And of course, then there is me. I bring to this a particular want continuously to give back. And I don't know if that's my childhood, but I feel a real sense of caring and injustice. And it's all governed by one thing that I say all the time: why. I'm always interested in finding the answer to the why equation in everything I do. What do I bring to this? A skill. I bring, I'm a filmmaker. I'm a writer. I am a mask maker. And I'm an accountant. And all of those skills have made it possible for me to work in the arts, especially accounting. Now, people will say to you, accounting, where's the art in that? I say there's a lot of art in accounting, because the truth is, I can't count. Creativity makes a lot of sense when it comes down to finance. And I'm not talking about cheating, I'm talking about strategy. So that's my whole bag of tricks that I bring to this, is that I'm curious. I remain curious. Today, I expect to learn from each one of you also. And I probably pass that on as I go along. And I've been doing this kind of workshop and sharing now for over 20 years. And it hasn't changed. And the name of my workshop is represented in the title bar. Right? I see it as a resource builder. That's what Amar is. And it was initially called Making Your Art Your Business. In these workshops, I deal with the business aspect. So here we are. I think I have done that. Not bad. I was trying to come in at 1:30. So what I'm going to ask Fraser to do is play that video that I'm talking about, because it's going to lead us into the breakout rooms. And then you can speak to Amar. I know he's open to answering any kinds of questions you may have around that and how he did it. What you need to know is that he did one of the first independent crowdfunding in Canada. And that in itself is a feat when you consider, the way crowdfunding has gone. So, and that's, bursting into the marketplace with this particular entry is incredible. So, Fraser.
Initially, certificates are supposed to start with CSIS, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, which is engaged in all sorts of investigations around individuals that it thinks might jeopardize the security of Canada.
It may begin to develop a file on somebody and come to the conclusion that someone constitutes a threat.
And then they bring that material before two government ministers, the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration and the Minister of Public Safety.
So CSIS shares the information with the two ministers, who then sign off if it's warranted.
Then the matter would be referred to a federal court judge, and the judge would review the secret evidence.
And it's essentially up until you get to the federal court, the person concerned has no that this is going on. It takes place behind closed doors.
And the judge of the federal court evaluates the dossier of intelligence. On the basis of that evaluation, will deem the security certificate to be either reasonable or unreasonable.
Not whether or not there were valid grounds for issuing it, not whether the decision of the two ministers was correct, but merely whether it was reasonable.
That's very different from beyond a reasonable doubt, which is used in a criminal proceeding.
The goal of the security certificate is to deport someone.
That would be subject to a few caveats, however. Canada is not supposed to be deporting people to face a substantial risk of torture in any event.
It's completely illegal under international and domestic law to carry out that process.
And secondly,
the fundamentals of the case, indeed the most central part of the case against the person, may be kept secret and not disclosed to the person concerned or their lawyer.
So it'd be a secret hearing before a judge, and the only other people in the room would be government lawyers, and a public hearing. But the problem with the public hearing, of course, is
neither he nor his counsel know precisely what he is alleged to have done.
In other words, you get locked up based on evidence that you never see, and that's very difficult to challenge. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what the procedure is.
Now, spoiler alert, his documentary was not an animation. So when you talk to him, then you'll figure out exactly what it is he did, why he did it, what he generated from it, and why this particular strategy was successful. It also should give you ideas of who among your friends can contribute to your image, because filmmaking is not a solo event. Okay, it's about community. Who is your community as you start building towards that career? So, Fraser is going to tell you guys about what happens after a 5-minute break of us chatting at you, and how the rooms are going to work.
Yeah, so I'll open the breakout rooms right now. Everybody feel free to take a 5-minute break and either join the rooms now or in 5 minutes. You should see just at the bottom of the panel an option to self-select your own breakout room. Here, I'll just open them right now.
Fraser, do you mind just explaining for people who might not know, like, just what a breakout room is? And
yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
So we're going to have 4 smaller rooms where it'll just be 1 leader and then the participants. So we'll have a producing room with Shanaz and Marva, a pitching room with Juan, a room for business strategy with Orla, and a room for financing with Amar. And if you take a look now, you should see at the bottom there, if you click breakout rooms, you should see an option for each room. And if you're having any trouble, just send me a chat, Barb Facilitator, and I can move you into the room of your choice. And just let me know which room you'd like to join.
Basically, what we're trying to do is make this an interactive discussion. We don't want to be here just talking at you. We want to know what you think, what you know, the problems that you envision, what you, the resources that you think you will need, you know. Tell us about who you are, hence the breakout rooms, because it gives you an opportunity to go one-on-one. And you can move around, right? If it is that you want to get half of one, half of another, then you do that. But also we come back to the main room, and at that time you get a chance to really explore from the entire panel any questions that may have arisen in your breakout room that perhaps someone else on the panel can answer. So it's very interactive, and we're hoping we can be of service.
Good. So take a 5-minute break, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Wonderful, thank you.
Hi, welcome back.
Where were you, Fraser? Which room were you looking after?
I actually just stayed in here and directed some latecomers. So yeah.
We had such a good conversation with Amar. I found it so interesting.
Great.
I think I'm really lucky because Aiko has obviously founded Hairouna Film Festival, and I met her a few years ago in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And my background is not in hospitality. I used to work here at Soho House. So it's fun for me to really understand the inner workings of the film industry and real practical tools.
Yeah, totally. I hope to get my hands on those recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to let everyone know, all of those breakout rooms, I'll just say it again for Fraser's benefit, they're all recorded and we'll be sharing all the information. So you can, if you didn't manage to obviously dip around and go into other breakout rooms, you can come back to this conversation and listen back.
I'm enjoying this, man. Good up, big up to everybody. Bless up, bless up.
Thank you. Yeah, this is great. We should do this more often.
Just sending positive energy.
So good.
I'm loving this, man. This is interesting. This is very interesting, yo.
Well, that's kind of why we wanted to make it interactive, because you know, we could talk forever, but we're really talking from our own perspectives, right? And until we start sharing backward and forth, we're not really sure whether or not what we're talking about makes any sense to you, which is one of the conversations that I had with Piku. Where is she? She isn't here. She's gone off doing what she needs to do. But I was saying that we really need to build something that allows, and at the time I was saying allows me to get to know the group or the personality of the creators who actually come in from this part of the world, because I don't know a lot of specifically Caribbean creators. The only thing I know of is the group who I was involved with. I think one of their first workshops was Caribbean Tales, when they came started moving around the hemisphere with their work. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Caribbean Tales, but they do a lot of stuff also So the connection there may be advantageous to HFF in terms of building some kind of a synergy between you. So here we are back in this room. So anyone with questions in terms of something that didn't get answered in their particular room that they would like to address here?
Hi, yes, we were just talking to Orla in the other breakout room, and I was wondering if she had the websites for NIP TV and NIPCOM.
Orla, unmute.
I can put it in the chat. So I'll look it up and put it in the chat.
Wonderful, thank you.
Hi, how does self-distribution work?
It's a question that always brings a smile to my lips. And the reason why it brings a smile is because most people don't ask the word for self-distribution. They ask to be connected to a distributor. So maybe I'm gonna let Amar talk about what he did for his first film, because he distributed that himself.
Sure, I can talk a little bit about my experience with it. So this is sort of pretty specific to a Canadian context, but I think some of it is applicable to kind of independent filmmakers the world over. But when I finished my first film, it was really a time where distribution over the internet was still very much in its infancy. So things like iTunes was just starting to become popular. The streaming services really kind of were not at the stage that they're at now in terms of how robust their catalogs were. But the acquisition side of things, so in Canada, when you finance a film through a broadcaster here, the amount of money you get from them is quite large. When you are selling a film that's been completed to them, the amount of money you get is extremely tiny, right? Pretty much useless, if I can be frank. So really at that point, it's your decision on whether or not you want to kind of give the rights over to a distributor or a broadcaster, or break things out and do the work of kind of distributing it yourself. And we chose the second route. So the first thing we did was we signed with a distributor here in Canada, but we signed a non-exclusive deal, meaning we would be allowed to sell, at the time, DVDs. Nobody does that anymore, but at the time we were able to sell physical copies ourselves. We were able to do grassroots screenings of the film ourselves. So we would rent out a cinema in a small town and sell tickets ourselves. We were able to do a lot of that ourselves. Now, I think the reason the distributor said yes is because they didn't think we'd be able to do it. And frankly, I think we made a lot more money than they did on their theatrical screenings. So I'm glad we ended up doing it that way. But we also carved out the right to do educational distribution ourselves. My documentary has sort of a lot of legal implications to it. So law schools, I think we've sold it to every law school in the country now, right? And when you do educational sales, it's actually the university has to pay a public license fee for that. So it's I think we receive about $300 per sale to a university. And then we've racked up quite a few sales now. And so my film is very Canadian, but as you can imagine, if you were selling to universities all over the world, if you had a more universal topic, that can be a lot of money, right? And so educational distribution is a pretty big field that can be quite lucrative to an independent filmmaker. I do want to caution though, this is a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work to sort of break all of these things out and do them all yourselves. And you're going to get tiny pockets of money slowly over time. For digital sales, what we did was we built a website for our film. It's called The Secret Trial 5. So secrettrial5.com. And we integrated with a product called VHX, which is now owned by Vimeo, where people can pay right then and there to stream the movie for $5 or download it. Or they can buy an educational DVD or a regular DVD. That was 7 years ago, and I think this week I got 3 emails that people had bought the film. So You know, it's 7 years later and it's still making me tiny bits of money. Yeah, so you really kind of need to understand all of the different streams by which your particular project can make money. So educational, broadcast, theatrical, all of those different streams, and you need to kind of create a tailor-made strategy for all of those streams. And it can be quite difficult, but honestly, for us, the film got a much larger audience because we went that way. And I would say, you know, received a lot more public attention and sort of critical praise because we were able to get it into all of these smaller communities and get reviews all over the place. You know, last year, 2020, I don't know if everyone else has trouble remembering what year it is, but I have trouble with this last year remembering what year it is. But in 2020, Hot Docs released a list of the top 10 documentaries of the decade in Canada. Hot Docs is sort of our major documentary festival, but just the biggest documentary brand in the country. And our film was on that list, and we were by far the lowest budget film on that list, and the only film that did self-distribution, right? So it's rare and kind of hard to do that. And we didn't make a lot of money. We made tiny pockets of money. But what it really allowed us to do was build a sense of community around the project and control and have decision-making power over when and how we would sell it, right? Because if you give the rights to a distributor and they sit on it and they don't believe in it and they don't think that they're going to make much money off of it, you're stuck, right? You're not going to get it back. And if they're not willing to put in the labor of like making those calls and trying to make those sales or set up those grassroots screenings, you're not going to make anything. And the film, more importantly, the film just won't get out there. And that was the most important thing to us, was that the film got out there, because we believed it was an important story that people across Canada needed to hear. So that's it. You got to build like a very specific tailor-made strategy for that project and be willing to put in the work. And it's very difficult, which is why so few people do it. But you know, if you've got the right project and the right mindset, it can be very positive.
If I may just jump in there, because I was thinking, you know, for those of us who are like in the Caribbean making films and stuff, there isn't, you know, I guess it's not even normalized yet that people, you know, approaching even schools, for example, like I don't even know if they would necessarily be at the point where they have a budget, you know, or they would even be thinking about licensing things and stuff like that. So I think that, like, from what you said, I think it's so insightful in terms of thinking about like exactly how that works and how we might be able to build that in the small islands. But I wanted to sort of maybe open up a general question to everybody, like, you know, for the Caribbean film industry, or where we are right now, you know, does anyone have any ideas about like where we can begin with our distribution or with you know, building these kinds of strategies for ourselves?
If I can jump in, multi-platform storytelling. So it's not just one distribution channel that you have to choose for your film. In this time, and I'm not a distribution expert, in this time, you can format your stories to be told across platforms. So many social media, festivals, theater, broadcasts, wherever your story can fit, you can reformat it. And as I said earlier, storytellers are more empowered now than ever to tell their own stories and get it out there. So, I mean, that's one thought I was having as we were all talking about this. And if anyone else wants to jump in.
One of the things that I talk about in workshops is the fact that you have to be able to see your project under in different lens. For instance, there may be certain elements within the project that you can actually pluck out and treat that as an individual story away from the project. And that may be suitable for a different audience, right? But one of the things, how you start there is really understanding the story. Who is the audience for this story? And if you don't have that understanding, then you're whipping away in the dark, right? So you need to really understand what it is you're making and who will be receptive for it. And that takes work, it takes research, right? So it's not just about your passion for the color of your rug. You want to talk about the weavers of that particular rug, but who's interested in weaving? Who's interested in colorization? You know, so those are the elements that you have to pull at in order to make sure that you can reach the audience for the world. So it's not just about distribution, it's understanding your product and understanding who the receptors are for that product.
I just wanted to add, in our room, we talked a little bit about, and I just did this with JAFTA in Jamaica, the workshop around trans storytelling, is not to limit yourself to just the Caribbean islands, but what kind of strategy can you look at, I think collectively with what you're creating, and how does that export into the world? Like where are your natural partners? What kind of relationships can you build with other festivals? I know Marvin mentioned Caribbean Tales, which it happens around TIFF, but this is the other thing. Sometimes you think those festivals, TIFF being the Toronto International Film Festival, that those things are too big for you. I think it's, and this is how MIT TV came up, is that you have to really actually look at your ecosystem, the world of where these things are being bought and sold, and understand it a little bit more. It's such a daunting task, but what you guys have done with the festival, it's amazing. And I think it's building an awareness around the kind of content that you have and a collective effort to build relationships in the market, because it's daunting individually.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Again, I'm going to go back to the package that I sent you guys. In it is included a bar tip 63 called Brand Purpose and Why It's Important. That kind of give you some ideas as to how to start thinking about your product and the branding of your product. Because the question is that if your work does not exist, would anyone miss it? Why does it need to exist? You need to figure that out. And that determination can only be made by you. So that kind of gives you an idea of industry mind around some of the stuff that we create. Anyone else had a question out of their break room?
I don't have a question, but I would like to talking about the CineDeal platform. I don't know if you heard about it, guys. No? CineDeal. It's in the French Caribbean island, Guadeloupe and Martinique. They create a platform to gather all the production short film and feature films on a platform like Netflix. And we can access to all the last short film available on the country. So I think it would be nice to gather all the island and also the English island of the Caribbean, because it's very hard to find your production after the festivals. I already saw so much Caribbean production in festivals in Guadeloupe too, the FEMI, and after a festival, it's impossible to find them. And I think a platform, even if it's a French, actually, right now it's a French platform, but it would be nice to do connection between islands to have access to other production. So I just put the link in the chat. And
that's fantastic. I want to speak to why it is you don't get to see stuff outside of festivals, right? A lot of times content is created without the ability to move it outside of festivals. Festivals are not a sales, they're not buying films. They're actually just curating and showing films. And a lot of that product has copyright infringement material on it. And festivals are not required to vet that material before they screen it, simply because they're not. Whereas if you think you want to move your stuff outside of the festival, now you have to find someone who has a particular interest in buying it, who would buy it and allow you to go back and try and find releases for all the stuff in the film that you didn't bother to get releases for before you made it. And most content buyers are not interested in doing that work, right? So you need to do that work yourself before you start making that content, which is why, again, the handout I sent you guys talk about this, right? You need to cover your butts as you go about making your content. And it's great to know that there is a platform who is taking this material, but they're not taking this material for the sake of selling it. You probably submit it and they take it in, period. The fact that it may move from that platform to an actual entity that can pay you for it will mean that you've done all the things right that you need to do, as in getting all the releases and the copyrights and everything done. So that is why you don't, most of the time, why you don't see stuff outside of festivals, because it's the only place they can screen without that encumbrance of being copyright cleared to do so. Okay? Anyone else? Ooh, ooh. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to scroll through each name I see on screen. And it's a little bit of a roll call, but it isn't, because I really want to know if there's one last word from you that you want answered. We may not be able to answer it here, but we certainly will try and get back to you. So we're going to start with Deontay. Unmute.
I'm sorry, say that again. Well,
No, I wanted to know if you had one last thing that you wanted to say or some question that you had before we wrap up.
no, I don't have any questions. I was listening to everyone and it was very informative, and I appreciate you guys for having this workshop for us. It was very helpful for me.
Well, I really appreciate you guys joining in, participating. How about you, KB?
Well, yeah, I came in late, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed taking a little bit of information that I got from you guys from the production chat room. I think what I would love to learn more about are contracts, in my opinion. Well, to be honest, because I mean, I have my own contracts from my work, but I still feel like I don't know enough. So, yeah.
Okay, start with defining work for hire and the assignment of rights that's included in your package. So that would give you a heads up as to which rabbit hole not to go down.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Marva, Silas has her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Where is the hand?
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just want to verify the handout that we received in the email yesterday, that's the package, right?
Yes, yes. Okay. You need to read it. You guys don't read enough.
Thank you.
Vonnie, anything else you want to add?
Oh, no, I found the workshop really interesting. I found that it's given us all a lot of encouragement, I'm sure, when I'm speaking to myself, to be able, you know, just to formulate our ideas, and also the sort of support in terms of all the complexity. What's come about to me really is how many different aspects there are. Even though I've been involved in some short, low budget films, there's so much more to explore. And I think the workshop is really, at the same time as encouraging, just offered everyone a different sort of aspect and avenue to pursue more. I'm particularly interested in the educational broadcasts and getting more information about that and the platforms that can be used for that. So I'd like to thank you all so much for this. It's just been really enlightening.
You're welcome.
Just to let you know, Marva, that's my mom.
So when she said directed by my daughter, she was talking about you.
She was talking about me, yeah. It's a family affair here, you know.
Fantastic. Welcome. Yes?
I just wanna say something real quick.
Sorry.
Shout out to Juan.
Vonley.
Juan.
Yeah, go ahead. Vonley?
I just want to say shout out to Juan. That was a really good back and forth we had there, man. It's right there, man. So just shout out to you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything
Very
that's
much
happening.
enjoyed it.
One love, man.
I was hoping that a few people in that room will walk out saying, I got this. And you seem to have done exactly that one. That's fantastic.
It was great talking to him, and I'm sure a great project is going to come out soon, very soon. So congratulations.
That's fantastic. Hey, we've done our job. Lucas.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add here?
No, I'm very happy to discover other islands and productions. Today I watched all the last content, short films, comedy shorts, and the last feature films, and it was very interesting to discover other works. I'm still a student in filmmaking, so it's my last year, but it's interesting to discover Caribbean productions, and it's very cool, this type of festival. So thank you for that.
A lot of people may not go back to doing this in person because the price can be prohibitive to get there. My screen keep moving, and I thought I had them lined up in terms of. Okay, so Jez, we talked. Kenji, how about you? Any other questions that you may have here?
I don't really have a question. You kind of answered one of my questions. I've always had a concern about putting out content that may be, I guess, offensive to some people, but you know, sometimes it is my story, and you know, I find being vulnerable. There's people out there that can sort of relate or resonate with whatever content that I may put. So you said something about being receptive to the audience, or making sure when you create content, it's for a particular audience. So I really want to say thank you for that, because I really battled, and there's a lot of things that I want to create, but I'm very sensitive about the type of work that I do, because I know it can be triggering to some people, but it's my belief, and people have their own belief and how they do certain things or how they see certain aspects in life. So yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Find your audience, and I'm not sure how you use the word offensive, but you've got to know that the energy in this world is being triggered by what the masses think of as being offensive. So careful with your material. Doesn't keep you from being authentic or being real, but it keeps you aware. Okay. I'm going to go down the line because I think I may have missed a few people. Olivia, are you there?
Hi. Yes, I'm here.
working in the background. I just want to chime in to say that it was really interesting. Seems overplayed, but that's the best word I can come up with right now. Coming from not being a filmmaker, but being able to listen in to the conversation between Juana and Vonley just now. It's interesting again. Just to witness like the way that this sort of back and forth is really, I guess, like propelling to the next step for all of us, like to get from, okay, I have an idea, to leaving the room and be like, all right, I have more than an idea. Now I can get to the next stage, like within the last 20 minutes to get, like going outside now to make this thing happen. So it's really amazing. And thank you all again, all the panelists, for agreeing to come on board with us to make this possible. This was a very, very great start to the Sunday morning.
Yeah, we're pushing a little over time now. Anyone who wants to have commitments and need to leave, we're good with that. Anyone who wants to stay because they have further questions, I'm here. So I needed to say that so that you know that we're not trying to hold on to you unnecessarily. Amy, have we spoken with you yet? Yeah, Amar has left us. So we'll try to cover any questions that you may have for him.
Marva, looks like Carmelia has her hand up as well too.
Where is that? Go ahead. Go ahead, Carmelia.
Yeah, I would like to know, what are your thoughts on using children to play adult roles? Like, if you're telling a historical story, a true story, what are your thoughts of having children portray those adult characters?
That's your creative direction. That's the way you come at the project. That's the way you come at the storytelling. The only thing I would say from a producer's point of view is make sure you're not abusing them, to be blunt. But if it is that creatively you see this as a way of getting the story told, why not? Go for it.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't think there's any restrictions around that. The only thing is that I'm not sure what it is in the world, in the Caribbean world, but in this country and in North America, if you use kids on set, there's a lot of rules around when, how much time, and also there's tutoring and supervision. There's a whole bunch of rules around that. So you have to figure out what those rules are, what your own sensitivities are to using those children, and what their parents have to say about it. So you have to consider those elements. But when it comes down to creative storytelling and using kids, it's up to you if that's your vision.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Ooh, we got here. Jez, did we talk to you already? Jez.
Hey.
Did we talk to you?
Well, for me, it was really just taken away by all the information. As a colorist myself, I was just really looking to the building, what really stood for me was the building of your brand and asking yourself what you have to offer. And, you spoke about, is your service being missed? That's something that just really sparked the idea in my head.
Good. That's why I asked those questions. Yeah. How about you, David? Hello. Are you there? David? Am I pronouncing your name right?
David?
Oh, it's David. Hi, David.
Hi. Yes, I thought you said David, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, I came in like extremely late, like very late. But what I am happy for is the chance here to actually see and meet a lot of these other filmmakers here, all these other creatives. because for me, networking is a very important thing, especially in filmmaking. So
Yep.
I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy to meet a lot of these. I know some of these guys like Kibby and Vanley, but I'm glad to meet these other people. And, I'm hoping to get to collab with a lot of them in the near future.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the whole
Jared as
idea.
well, we're gonna have a sorry to cut you off, Marva. This has all been recorded as well, so you can watch it back on your own time as well.
Cool.
There you go. Rory, did we speak to you as yet? Rory.
Hey everyone, yeah, I'd just like to say thank you for an incredible workshop. I found it's a really edifying discussion. Maybe a question I would say, if you have kind of a new style of filming or a subject that's not really kind of widely recognized, what tips would you give for kind of helping that to kind of appeal to the mainstream?
That comes down to your pitch. What did you develop to get that across? That's why I played Amar Waller's animation up front. It was intriguing. As you can tell, the subject matter was very hard, right? But yet you came into it with a lightness and an open reception to the subject matter. And what it was about a group of men who were locked up for years without being charged. And, they're in prison and their family is in prison because basically the entire family or families were being monitored during this time. And it's a story that impacted Amar. And as you can tell, he could probably have even come from that part of the country, which he did. But there are certain biases that comes with the way you look, right? So looking as he does and wanting to tell this kind of story, you need to figure out how it is to position your branding of that story. So it's not just about storytelling. It's not just about you have a passion for this. It's also about you figuring out from the producer cap, not from your creative cap, but from your producer scrap, how do I make this happen, right? And that's your task. That's your job, right? So.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, many a times in the field of production, especially when it comes to the audio visual side, chance meetings are almost always turning to lifesavers for me. So I would love for if everybody could just put their contact down there in the chat so I could reach out. This is the producer me coming out. I'm trying to steady the conversation where it meets my need. That's also the producer's job, to get whatever that finished goal is. So I'd love to get everybody's contact information because we never know when we're gonna need each other to reach out. And thanks Marva for the platform. She was very informative, very straightforward, and very easy to understand. So I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Colin. I'm sure my colleagues appreciate it too. We will, I believe that you have my contact information, and I would invite everyone else to do that, is to put their contact information. Don't be afraid to do that. From the get-go, I spoke about community, right? This is your community. Someone may have a skill that you don't have, but you need in order to complete your project. Maybe someone is good at research, someone who has the curiosity like I do, who would sit behind the computer or go to wherever it is in order to dig behind the scene to find you the materials you need. All of these are incredible skills, and you never know that they exist until you ask. So please add your contact information. Well, we'll come in. Is there anyone else who has something that they want to say? I think we should wrap this up. Otherwise, you know, I can talk all day, just so you guys know.
Marva, I just wanted to add something to what you're saying. As we're doing this network, and it came up in our room, is like we are building a network and we are reaching out for different things, but we also talked as we're trying to find fits, how we make sure that we're being, I think, respectful and honoring each other's creatives. So sometimes you get involved in a project and we haven't had those hard, fast written rules. And as we build these networks, is understanding each of our value and what you bring to the table to my project, what I bring to the table for your project, and having that kind of dialogue up front when you make those connections, rather than building a relationship simply around creative and need, about mutual sustainable development and growth. So I offer, while we're exchanging that, is to really, you know, get to know these individuals and also get to know what they might want as well as what you might need.
Yeah, so it's not all about you. It's basically what Amar is saying, and what you should become aware of. It's not all about you, right? You respect your own work, respect others' work as well, what they contributed. Although your project may be the thing at the forefront, the elements of them and their creatives that go into your project is just as critical. So you need to establish up front who owns what, because you end up in fights. And that's kind of basically what I haven't done. I haven't given you the marvelous stern producing warnings, just a little taste of it. But one of the things that I really like to do up front is establish the fact that you need to have letters of understanding between you before you start collaborating. You do what, I get what. All of those things are critical, because you don't want to get to the end of the road where you have something that is incredibly powerful for everybody involved, and then find out, well, I can't use it because John didn't sign off, or I can't use it because Amy is having a fit about it. So it really is important that you consider, when you come to the table, what those contributions are, respect it, and document it. Okay? Anyone else? Natalie, did you want to say something?
Yes, I'm having a slight problem trying to save the chat because everyone's information is in it, and there usually are three little buttons, three little dots right near the file option where you can save chat, but I don't see it. And I'm trying to select everything and then paste it on a Word document, but I can't. I'm not having the ability to do that either. Pardon me?
Can we help? Can you help there?
Let's see.
You know, like they're usually in the chat box, there's usually three little dots near the file option where you can click and save the chat, but that's not there. And then I try to select all the information in the chat so I could just paste it on a Word document, but I can't paste it. I'm selecting it, but it's not pasting.
I can save a copy and I'll email it to everybody afterwards. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
no worries.
Fantastic. Wonderful.
Okay, guys, we're wrapping. So, anyone else? This is your last chance to ask us. Go ahead, Molly. Sorry, Camilla. Go ahead.
What kind of permissions are needed to film in other islands?
What kind of permissions needed to film where?
In other islands.
The resources that you intend to use in that island is the permission you need. So if you're filming at the hospital, you need to ask at the hospital board about this. If you are filming a restaurant, you need to ask the owner of that restaurant and get their permission, right? So don't just walk up to them and say, yes, have that piece of paper in your hand and get them to sign off on it.
Okay, but in terms now on in public areas, the parks or on the street?
Well, the parks are not, it's not open for you to film it. I'm not sure what the rules are, right? You know, there's all, you know, people do a lot of wild filming in public locations, and most of them are not challenged by the public, as in the government. However, if you're caught midstream of your production and get out of those areas, the chances of you coming back to finish could be difficult. So you have to ask yourself, can I do this quickly before I'm caught? Or, you know, do I need to get someone else's permission? So again, that's the producer's role. You know, as a producer, you have to figure out where the risks are and if it's worth taking. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
I just want to add, Jamali has a question, but the question about filming on other islands, all the islands actually have film commissions. So one of the things that you should be doing is connecting with whatever film commission is in Jamaica, Trinidad, or Barbados. That should probably be able to tell you the structure and who to speak to and what the regulations are around that. And then Jamali has I'm sorry if I said it wrong, question.
No, you said it correct. I was just going to add, in addition to permission, and I think this is somewhat similar to what KB probably brought up. I think it's important to have actual contracts, or if you have permission, have it recorded in some way, documented in some way, because I've had the experience where I was at a particular location to do a shoot. Everybody involved in it had agreed to do it. And when we did some additional content, right? But when the thing that we were there to do was done and edited, and the response was really great when it was put out. And one of the persons who were involved in it did not realize it would blow up, if, you know, to use that term, it would go that well. And there was some additional edits that we did with the content, and they decided, because that one was so popular, they don't want to be, you know, a part of the other content that was done from it. And I could have taken the decision where, you know what, you had already agreed to it, so I really don't care. A lot of time and effort went into this, it's going to go out anyway. But I just decided that, you know what, I'll just scrap it. And I was sorry that I had to do that, because I actually thought that that additional edit was better than the original thing that we went there to do. But just to make the point that it is so important to have contractual arrangements, but even in those cases, sometimes you may just have to bite the bullet, if so to speak, because again, in my situation, the person did give consent, but after the fact changed their mind. But the last thing I wanted to say, and I know Lucas mentioned it a number of times, especially in the breakout room, is that I'm really happy for opportunities like these, because when you think about something like COVID, which presented a big challenge, but yet I'm almost certain, had that not been the case and Zoom and platforms like these been as ubiquitous as they are now, it is quite possible that we might not have had this session, because you know, ICO might have been thinking about budgets to fly this person in and fly that person in. And just even in terms of those of us as participants, we may not necessarily have had the opportunity to be a part of this. So to me, it is an analogy for filmmaking itself, where I think sometimes out of challenges comes some of the greatest opportunities, because when you edit in something, I think it is the challenges that make you a better filmmaker, because those are the things you have to find ways of overcoming. And had you had everything perfectly from script to screen, it may not have expanded your abilities as much as it would if you had these challenges. So again, from me, I'm really happy to meet all of those who are here, especially those in St. Vincent, who I may not have known previously, and those from other islands, you know, all the way up the Caribbean chain. So I'm looking forward to see a lot of your content in the future.
I agree with you that the COVID has done us a good. at least one good, despite all the lives lost in the process. But I want to say something to you about rights and permissions. It is important that the decision to scrap it was yours. However, it may not have been yours to do depending on the type of permission that you got. And one of the things that has to be very critically important is that when you put out a contract of any kind, or put out a permission paper of any kind, you have to be very clear as to what your possibilities as a producer is to use the content you've collected. Some participants may narrow your use to certain areas, but as a producer, you need to try to get all those rights, all of it, so that you never pushed against a wall of not having to use the content that you create. You have to keep that flexibility in. So how your contract is created is important. At some point, I will go through contracts that I have, and I will try to get one to you that as a sample. I'm not offering it to you as a done deal, because you should never do that with a contract, because a contract should always speak to your particular situation and the particular project that you're working on and what you hope to accomplish with it. So what the contract says, whether or not you have the rights to chop off this story, should have been written into your contract. If it wasn't, then it needs to be there in the next one that you do. You cannot have your business, and I say the business of making films, curtailed by the whims of someone who all of a sudden decides, damn, this is making money, I want in on that. Basically, is what was happening here to you. We've had situations that Ola and I have been part of, where we did a whole series of television series and had contracts in perpetuity for everything you can do with that series. But yet one young woman came back years later. She was tired of seeing her face on TV and not making the money she should be making, and demanded it be removed. But you know what? We couldn't remove it, even if we wanted to, because the broadcasters had bought it at that. And we had to give them guarantee in terms of insurance that all of this stuff had been vetted before they bought it. So that's the world you're working towards getting into, where it no longer is your whim or your want to appease someone. It really is you're contracted up and down the ladder to make sure that you did it right the first time. So I'm sure you're the person who you removed it felt grateful, but probably hoped that you would pay him or invite him in for a piece of the action. Anyone else with a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Is there such a thing as taking things a little bit too personal when it comes to your branding to show who you are? Like for me, I love turtles because it means a lot because of my mom's culture. And there's an island, Bequia, that actually have like something for turtles, pretty much, whereby.
I know, I'm from Bequia.
Oh, okay.
From Bequia. Yeah, well, I'm not from Bequia. I wasn't born there, but family is from Bequia. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to base my branding off of that specifically, because like for cultural reason.
Yeah.
So I want when people see it, they could associate, they know it's me, and also they could associate without confusing me for a different country. They know exactly based on the color. You can just be like, yeah, that's her. She's from this country.
Yeah. Well, branding is entirely up to you how you want to be seen in the marketplace. That's your call. So if you want to use turtles from Beckwith, I like saying Beckwith, then go for it, if that's how you see yourself. Okay, guys, I'm shutting this down. Shanaz, is there anything you want to wrap out with?
Not only to say, feel free to reach out to me. I'm frozen again. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions regarding training or next steps or thoughts or anything you're thinking about. I'm happy to share anything I can offer.
That's great.
Thank you,
Ola, how about you?
Well, I just want to say thank you for pulling this together. It is absolutely incredible. I've never been to St. Vincent, so here I am. And then I can't believe you did want
Maybe I'll take you. I want to go next year.
No, I know you wanted to go, but I do want to say with the COVID, it's been great to be able to reconnect. And this festival is incredible. So I'm so thankful for Marva just letting us know about this festival. The films are great. I love the ease of the online and hearing all your stories and what you're doing across the Caribbean. So it's more of a thank you than anything else.
Well, Hiku, do I say your name right? How do you pronounce your name?
Aiko.
Aiko.
Yeah.
Aiko, thanks for inviting us.
Oh, I mean, please go
thoroughly
ahead.
enjoyed the day.
I'm so happy, honestly. It was our honor and our privilege to have you here. And finally, I know we've been emailing pretty much like over a year. Yeah. And finally to just meet you and engage with your wonderful spirit and your wonderful energy and your knowledge and this incredible panel of people you put together and everyone coming in. I mean, I've really felt so moved because of course, like we're making the festival to a certain extent when you're working on a project, at a certain point, it takes on its own life, right? And people start coming into it and bringing their energy to it. And I feel quite moved by what everybody has brought to it. And I've learned so much. And I know on behalf of everyone, like filmmakers in St. Vincent, everyone who's been here, we're so grateful. Thank you so much. And I really hope that we can do this again at some point. That would be wonderful, So thank you all so much for being here. And we actually don't have a film commission in St. Vincent yet, but maybe that's something, that we need to think about developing.
Yeah, well, the thing is that with that development is that we get the opportunity to bring the government in. It's about time. You guys had enough lucrative production filmed out of the region that should be able to, and they should understand that there's a real opportunity that needs exploited.
Mm-hmm.
And you say exploitation, it sounds no, they need to exploit it because it's a way of increasing the abilities to really fund and shop and grow and incubate the talent coming out of your area. Because I can see that everybody is really trying to ramp up, but they need support of the government to be able to do that. Absolutely. And a film commission will be the start because it means that they will start recognizing that there's great GDP that can come from this, as every other country in the world has done.
Absolutely. And I think towards building that kind of sustainability and that structure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Marva. Thank you so much, and everybody else for being
And can I just say a great thank you to all the creatives out there for doing this wonderful work, whatever it is you guys are doing. It's wonderful. It's beautiful to see everyone out there doing whatever it is that your heart and your soul is inspired to do, and doing it with gusto and love and genuine interest always. And to come together like this means that all of us have been doing this for whatever amount of time. These things don't happen by accident. You know, this is a confluence of interest and universal love for beautiful work. So thank you to all of you who keep doing it, and to the panelists as well, and to all the people who took the time on a Sunday to come here. This is very inspiring and I love it, and I wish all of you all the best. God bless all of you. Keep strong, keep the faith. You guys are wonderful. I don't know you personally, but I know you're wonderful. Great stuff, great stuff.
We thank you. Before we go, I want to point out that we have a little bit of feedback form that we put together that I hope that each one of you will fill it out for us, because it kind of will give us and HFF the opportunity to really dive into the areas of incubation and growth, and just give us a fair idea as to what it is should come next, right? What your expectations are and what you bring to the table. It's just a one-pager, and you don't need to sign it.
Okay, I just want to let you all know I'll follow up with both the evaluation, the handout for anyone who missed it, and the copy of the text from the chat after this. So
Amazing.
Thank
yeah.
you guys.
Appreciate you,
Yeah,
Fraser.
yeah, no
Thank
worries.
you, sir.
And hopefully we'll have those recordings soon too, once we get them all together.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
No
Fraser.
problem.
I just want to
Fraser. Thank you. I couldn't
No problem.
have done it without him. He has just held my hand. I really am not very good at this, and somehow in my brain it's locked it out.
Hey, Marva?
My pleasure.
I want to say big love to everybody.
I think Vonnie is saying something there.
Yeah, I can't really quite figure out the timing for this thing, to be honest with you. Like, it's very good. Yo, it's different. But I just want to say big love to everybody to be doing and being a creator in these times. And as Natalie said, this is something that this just didn't happen for no reason. Like this is fate, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, we are all here with common interests, common energy. I felt a lot of good energy in this room, and big up to everybody, and a lot of blessings on your journeys as filmmakers, as human beings, as souls. One love, and sending good energy back to you guys, man.
Thank you. We hear it and feel it.
Thank you.
I have a quick question, Aiko. Are the films are they available after the festival?
So what we have permission for is the films will be up for 48 hours, and then you can press play, and once you press play, they're available for another 24 hours. So in terms of what we did in our first year is that we asked all of the Vincentian filmmakers who we could to put their films on our YouTube channel. So those films are there for Vincentians, but it is a good question in terms of us maybe reconnecting with them and seeing who would permit us to do that. Yeah.
Because that would be good to be able to encourage visibility of what's happening there.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was going to say it is good, but it is on par with other film festivals. So there's also one issue around streaming for Filmmakers International is that they don't have their work over streamed, which is something you might face or look at.
Okay.
But typically TIFF, it is a 48-hour maximum across the board. So it's very much on par with what is going on.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you want to hold it to that until you can figure out, like Caribbean Tales did, is that they developed their own streaming platform. So, you know, it's separate from their own festival that they do. So
yeah, no, that's very helpful.
Separate from the festival.
It's
that's
not
really
part
helpful.
of because remember, you have to think business. If you create that, then it means that you have an opportunity to earn in order to maintain the festival.
Absolutely. And I think, in terms of our development as the festival as well, I mean, I will, you know, you might be getting a couple emails from me too, being like, I need advice, help. Because, you know, we're a young festival, and all of my background is in filmmaking. Beth is in development. Olivia is a visual artist. Karen is also a visual artist. You know, so none of us had any background in filmmaking, but just a lot of heart and in film festival organizing, but just, you know, just a love for the thing. So I'm really proud of what we've accomplished so far. And
oh, you should be.
Building
I
the
say
network.
absolutely.
Thank you. And building the network and getting the response from you guys, and being able to like connect to the resources we need to grow further. So, you know, it's a really reciprocal process for us. So you all are crucial parts of it. So thank you again.
You're welcome. And I'm open for questions.
Yeah.
just so you know, and I'm putting it out there, I'm a night owl. I work late into the night.
So
and I occasionally don't see the light of day before 1, 2 in the afternoon. So if you have something urgent, consider the fact that you may want to send it to me in the night.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
So, okay, guys, I think we're heading out of here. Thank you for participating, and thank you for inviting me in, Aiko. I think, and you and your mother do look alike.
Yeah.
And I see where you get a passion for this work. So that's good. Ola, thank you so much. Missionaz, oh, I can't tell you guys how, you know, how well and loved I feel just to have you participate. Because I think each of you knew that this was a personal project for me. And the fact that Mr. Fraser said yes the minute I asked him to help me through this was was lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
My pleasure as well. I'm so happy to be here and to meet, you know, fellow Caribbean filmmakers and folks. It just makes me miss that part of the world. And
you just miss the heat as well.
I just miss everything about it, you know.
Okay, guys, bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.